We're now on video. Hello. Do. He's trying to figure out how to get down for the bridge. Yeah, right. Yeah, I saw those pictures of him on the bridge. I said, what are you doing up there, painting it or what? He had some great pictures, though, I'll tell you that. Yeah. Hey, Tom.
What's up?
How you doing?
Good.
Good. Yeah, those were amazing pictures. Really were. All right. 8 o'clock. I think we're going to start her up. So we'll just fire it up and get going. All right. Here we go. Stand by.
Talk show. Recorded live.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of GC Community Chat. I'm your host, Kerry, and joining me tonight is Wayne County Commissioner Richard LeBlanc, Dr. Tom Iwinski, and Mike Jones. This show is dedicated to residents and businesses of Garden City, as well as the surrounding communities. Remember, we're working hard to promote our community and yours. Well, hello again, and welcome back for another episode of GC Community Chat. You're listening to show number 247 for May 28th. 2015. This is the podcast where we promote news and information from our community and yours. I'm your host, Kerry, and not joining me tonight so far is Wayne County Commissioner Richard LeBlanc. He's going to be a little bit late, and also Mike Jones may be a little bit late, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. Dr. Tom is here, though, our favorite weather guy. Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing tonight?
Awesome. Beautiful day today.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice day today after we dealt with some rain the last 2 days.
Yeah. Also tonight, Senator Knisik was supposed to be with us. As you know, it's the last Thursday of the month, and unfortunately, he is attending the Mackinac Policy Conference on Mackinac Island with State Representative Julie Plawicki. So unless he calls in, but if not, we'll get him scheduled very soon to come on and give us some updates for the state. I just wanted to give a shout out to our Garden City Kiwanis Club. I just got back from their memorial walkway dedication for past members and their anniversary dinner. They're celebrating 100 years of Kiwanis International and 67 years of the Kiwanis of Garden City. So congratulations to them. That is a big achievement. That's actually where Mike still is, probably with his family. Okay, we have a lot to get to. Our guest for tonight's going to be Brittni Abiolu from the NABA, that's the National African Business Association, and we're going to be discussing with her building and managing personal credit, raising capital to start a business, as well as managing business credit. So we are looking forward to that. Also, hey, Mike, how you doing? Mike Jones is in the house. All right. Also, when Richard gets here, we're hoping to get an update from him on county news and anything else on his mind. Tom has all the weather for us. Joey and Holly have their 2-minute gardening tips. And Mike will be here to announce some community events. So looks like another great show for you tonight. So why not grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and hang with us for the next 60 minutes or so. Yeah, because we usually do run over an hour, so should be a good one. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Oh, pretty good, Kerry, although I think I might have...
Is your mic on?
May have overindulged at the Garden City Kiwanis anniversary dinner. I skipped lunch, and I think I ate 3 meals worth of food.
You thought you were on the Taste Fest again, huh?
Yeah, oh boy.
Well, we'll talk about that, too, a little bit later in the show. Now, it's very easy to join us here tonight. You can call in by dialing 1-724-444-7444 and enter the call ID 82757 followed by the pound sign. Or you can join us in our chat room, as many do, by going to TalkShoe.com and search for show ID 82757. That takes you right to our main show page where you'll click on the large join-in button, and a window will open. Just sign in as a guest, and that's all there is to it. Once you're in the chat room, you can type your comments at the bottom of the page, and you'll find our phone number and show ID there as well. You can always text your questions to us at 734-788-9319. The audio from tonight's show will be posted on our Facebook page at facebook.com/GCChat as soon as it's made available, usually about 30 minutes or so after we sign off. We are also doing a live unedited video of tonight's show, so you can put a face with the voice, and that will be available sometime tomorrow on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/communitychatshow. And while you're there, why not subscribe? That way you'll be notified when we post future shows. And if all that wasn't enough, we are also in iTunes. Just search for GC Community Chat. All right, before we get to Tom, I want to mention that on June 11th show, we're going to have Tom Borg from the Tom Borg Consulting Agency. He was a recent guest speaker at our Kiwanis Club meeting. Did a great job, so we invited him to come on the show. His services include several things to help promote and improve your business and sales, kind of similar to what we're doing tonight, but a little bit different. So mark your show on your calendar so you don't miss it, especially if you have a business that may be struggling a bit. Tom has some good advice for you, and we hope you'll be able to join us. Okay, coming up now is Dapper Tom, and then we'll get to Joey and Holly, and then we'll get to our guest, Brittni, for tonight. Stand by. Okay, let's do a check on weather with Dapper Tom. Let's see what he has in store for the rest of this week and the weekend coming up. Tom, take it away. Hello, Tom. Nice day today. Can't complain.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice day today after there was a little bit of rain the last few days. There was a lot of hit and miss. The places that got hit got hit pretty hard with some pretty strong storms, but luckily they missed us. But some areas seeing a lot of trees down and a lot of power outages and a little bit of flooding here and there. But we just got a little bit of rain, and that cold front moved through, and that is what ushered in a really nice day out there. And lower humidity, which is a very made it feel much nicer out there. And for the rest of tonight, it's going to be overall clear, and temperatures will be in the low 60s. And as we get into tomorrow, the clouds will build up more, but it is going to be a pretty warm day out there, upper 80s for high temperatures. And as we get into the weekend, I do see a little bit of a rainy day on tap for Saturday. If you have any outdoor plans, I wouldn't really plan anything for Saturday, because it looks like most of the day is going to have some sort of rain all throughout the day. Temperatures will be a little bit on the cooler side with that rain in the 70s. But as we get into Sunday, it's going to start drying out, and those temperatures will be cooler behind the system again in the low 60s for high temperatures. So a little bit of a cool down. It's going to be a short-term cool down, luckily. And as we get into next week, it's definitely going to gradually warm up pretty quickly. As we get into Monday, the high temperatures will start rebounding in the lower 70s, and then as we get into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they'll continue to rise into the upper 70s and into the lower 80s. And then as we get into late of next week, I'll reintroduce again the chances for more rain and storms with that rain and humidity. So that is going to be the weather story for us. But as I expand outward, there's so much weather going on across the United States, it's not even fathomable. As you've probably been hearing on the news, flooding has been a big concern all across Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. They have been dealing with ongoing flooding and severe weather on top of it. Over the last few weeks, and especially this week, a lot of death and destruction with these floods, especially around Houston as recently. The death toll is now over 23 people, and there's still people missing that are not accounted for, that have just vanished from the floods out there, and bodies have not been recovered. So that's a big story ongoing out there. Yeah. And as of right now, they're still dealing with rain and storms all across the region out there. But luckily, there is a little bit of a pattern shift as we get into next week, and hopefully that all that rain and stormy activity will start shutting down, and I do see that. But the only good news I see out of this is that the drought is pretty much eliminated out of that region because of all the rain and storms, but they are dealing with very bad weather out there. And as we head into some other weather stories, heat has been a very big story. Guess where the warmest temperatures have been over the Memorial Day weekend? Just guess of a state.
What's that?
That's a guess a state where you think, had the warmest temperatures over the Memorial Day weekend.
I have no idea.
Alaska, believe it or not.
Are you kidding?
In the low 90s.
Wow.
Memorial Day weekend, which is just so strange to think
That
about.
is.
We think of Alaska as cold and snowy
Right.
and just a miserable place to be, but they can get pretty warm up there. It's pretty remarkable. Record-breaking temperatures over the Memorial Day weekend, so that was worth noting. And another location that has been dealing with the heat is India. India has been dealing with a very dangerous heat wave. The death toll is over 1,400 people have died from the heat.
Wow.
Ongoing temperatures have been over 100 degrees, close to 120 degrees consecutively, day after day after day. And obviously, that does a toll on the number of the bodies that have been.
That's terrible.
Lost.
Wow.
And that is, and I do see some changes in that condition, and it'll start changing as the monsoon starts to kick in. So that's some good news again. And the last story I have of the night is tropical storm Andreas has started in the Pacific, and basically that means that the hurricane season has started in the Pacific, and luckily that storm is going to move out to sea and isn't going to affect anybody. And it's going to be a hurricane, though. But El Nino is starting to kick in the Pacific, which means that it's going to be a very active season in the Pacific. So that's going to be a very big story all across the Pacific hurricane season. But the good news is that the Atlantic hurricane season is expected to be very quiet as it starts on Monday, June 1st. But it only takes one storm, and we'll see what happens. But those are the biggest weather stories ongoing right now. But if you want to keep tuned to the local weather information, just go to my website, DopplerTownsWeather.com.
All right, will do. Yeah, it's really terrible out in Texas. I mean, some of those pictures, wow, unbelievable.
I know, it's pretty hard to fathom, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, the cost of, you know, the drought being over, boy, that's a shame, really.
Yeah, because
people still miss it.
That's how it
Yeah.
usually goes sometimes. They get these big rainstorms, and that's what kills the drought, but you deal with that consequence of flooding and a lot of damage. But
Yeah.
That's going to have to happen.
Right.
I'm very worried about what's going to happen in California. I still don't see rain with it, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's getting to be really ridiculous out there, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. But the El Nino is starting to kick in, so they're saying that this winter it could be a little bit more moisture for them. So we'll see what happens.
Well, they definitely need it, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, thank you, sir. Now we got the weather forecast. We'll get to some gardening with Holly and Joey. Let's see what they got.
This is Gardening in 2 Minutes. Water is the life source of your garden, but too much can be just as detrimental as not enough. So there's some things that you can do after and during a rain to help better prepare your garden for future rainfalls.
One thing you can do is after rain is you can go out, especially a really big rain, is you can go out to your garden and see which areas are maybe more wet, more flooded, or lower areas.
This way you can better prepare the soil later on in the growing season and in fall and amend it with the proper amendments to help get better drainage. We've talked about this on this segment multiple times, building your soil to have better drainage and have a healthier, better garden. Another thing you can do is after a heavy rain, plants do sometimes become yellowing because of lack of nutrients in the soil. Plants, just like humans, can only consume so much liquid, and they need time to drain or dry out. So you need to give them a few days. You don't need to immediately go in and fertilize them. This, most times after a rain, there's usually another rain that's just going to wash away the nutrients that you've put in for the plants. Give the plants a few days to dry out, and then assess them from above the ground.
You could also think about getting a rain barrel. This way, when you can harvest the rain that's coming, and then during dry times, you can use that rain to save money and save water.
You can get usually deals on rain barrels. You can create your own for nothing or very little. You can also go through your local extension office, and they may also have discounts and deals for you in your particular area. For more information on rain and controlling and monitoring what you can do after the rain in your garden, our weekly video productions, as well as our free downloadable digital quarterly magazine, You can find all that information at
theWisconsinVegetableGardener.com.
For the health conscious organic gardener worldwide. For Gardening in 2 Minutes, I'm Joy Baird.
And I'm Holly Baird.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next week. Okay, before we get to Brittni, I just wanted to remind all residents that our next regular city council meeting will be held on June 1st at 7 p.m. in the council chamber located at 6000 Middlebelt Road. They urge all residents to attend. All right, at this time, I'd like to introduce our guest for tonight. As I said earlier, she is with the National African Business Association. Please welcome Brittni Abiolu.
Hi, everyone. How are you this evening?
Good. How are you?
Abiolu.
Abiolu. I knew I'd murder that.
Nice try, though.
I'm going to go, how about Brittni A?
Yep, that's perfect. That's what all my teachers would call me.
Or BA. Hey, that works too.
That works too.
So, Brittni, why don't you, before we get into why you're here tonight, why don't you explain to our listeners just what the NABA is and how long you've been around with them, and a little bit of history on yourself.
Well, the National African Business Association was set up to help revitalize and refurbish the community of Inkster, Michigan, primarily, and also help the community of Inkster establish relationships with countries in Africa, business relationships with countries in Africa, so that we can, get immigrants to come over here and attend school and to start businesses and help rebuild the community. The association has been around for about a year. So it's still fairly new, but it's constantly growing. Members are joining daily. So that's what we're pretty much all about.
So you belong to that, but you also own your own business.
Yes, I'm a member of the Business Association, but I also own a company by the name of CapitaLink.
Okay.
And I work with entrepreneurs and small business owners, helping them raise capital for new and existing businesses.
So can you share with us how you get how'd you get involved with the NABA?
With the NABA, actually,
that was right out of school or something, right?
Well, the NABA is a fairly new thing. It's what I've been doing in the last year. The founder of the organization actually found me on LinkedIn. He thought my LinkedIn profile was very appealing. There's a lot of testimonials from past clients on there about how I raised funding for them, and he wanted me to join the organization so that I could help raise, grant funds and other types of funding for different things that we want to do in the community of Inkster.
You had mentioned before we went on the air that you left kind of a cushy corporate job to jump right into business, huh?
I did. I was 22 years old. I had left one of the largest business process outsourcing companies in the country, Accenture, to start my own business, and my parents thought I was crazy.
I bet.
And they weren't too happy about that, but it was my passion. It's always been my passion to work with entrepreneurs and small business owners and also help them follow their dreams.
Well, you got to follow your heart, you never know. I mean, we can do anything, right?
Absolutely.
So let's get into it. Building and managing personal credit.
So what I really want to discuss tonight is the importance of aspiring entrepreneurs and established business owners preserving their personal credit and building their personal credit so they have an easier time qualifying for debt financing, in particular loans and lines of credit and things like that. One of the first questions that I always get when people contact me for help is, can I get capital for my startup or existing business? And I always tell them yes, but it depends on a few factors, obviously. And those things are typically your personal and your business credit. Your personal and your business credit will always be taken into consideration when applying for loans and lines of credit for a business, any type of debt financing. A lot of people are not, realistic about, what they think they can qualify for.
Right.
So one of the things I always tell them, is be realistic about the amount of funding you can qualify for based on where you are in your business and based on, how well you manage your personal credit.
Right.
Because lenders will.
You don't want to really go in too far over your head, right?
Exactly. Lenders want to lend to people who have a history of being able to service their debts on time. So for startup business owners, I've had people come to me and say, I have this great idea. I need $500 million.
Sign me up.
Just like, and they'll say,
gosh.
Did I ask for too much?
Right.
Yeah, right.
And I'll say, well, they'll say, well, my credit is not that good. I don't have any collateral or assets.
Yeah, but give me the money anyway.
Yeah, but, I have this awesome idea. So, anybody who's going to lend me $500 million. And I'm like, again, you have to be really, really realistic about what you can obtain based on where you are in the business. So for startups especially, based on my experience over the last 7 years in this industry, I find that a lot of startups only qualify. The most I've been able to help get, for a startup business owner is about $200,000. And this person,
I'll take it.
Yeah, sign them up.
I thought you were going to say like $40.
Yeah, me too.
You got a good idea, Richard, for a startup?
Oh, I'll have one by the end of the show.
And this person that qualified for that much, they had a 20-year well-established credit history.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they had personal lines of credit in their name that they had managed for 20 years, and they paid on time.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have any derogatory or delinquent accounts, and they had a diverse mix of accounts, both like mortgage loans, car loans, and personal lines of credit. And that's really important. So I always tell startup entrepreneurs, you have to be really realistic about that coming in. And then if you don't have exceptional credit, I help those people get unsecured business lines of credit.
Okay.
And that those are basically business lines of credit that you don't need collateral. You don't need to pledge collateral to be able to qualify. It's just largely based on your personal credit history.
Okay.
So if you do have bad credit and you're starting a new business, you typically will only find that you qualify for what's called an SBA microloan.
Okay, yeah.
There are SBA microloan lenders, and
SBA, Small Business Association.
Small Business Association. That they don't lend directly, but what they do is guarantee the loan amount up to a certain percentage. So if you happen to default on the loan, they will pay that lender the money that they lost up to a certain amount.
Oh, okay.
So the SBA microloan is actually a program that a lot of people have never heard of. A lot of the business owners that I talk to.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah. And the average SBA microloan, it goes up to $50,000. Some lenders $35,000, but the average SBA microloan is only $13,000. And when I tell people that, they say, "Oh, that's not enough."
Yeah.
And if you visit the SBA's website, I think it's SBA.gov, and you do a search on microloans, they actually suggest that is where you start when you're starting out.
Okay.
People want to borrow so much that they actually can't really afford to borrow. And you don't want to get in over your head.
So say somebody gets the average loan of $13,000, how long do they have to be in business to, say, get another loan from them? You know what I'm saying? Maybe a larger loan or something like that.
They have to. It's really based on the amount of revenue they're generating. So usually when they get that first SBA microloan, they have a term of, I think, 3 to 6 years to pay it back. The interest rates are pretty good, somewhere from like 8 to 13% on average. But once they get that and they pay it off, they may be able to go for like a 7A loan, depending on what industry they're in, and those are bigger. So it all just depends on how successful your business has become from the first loan. Did you use it properly? Has it been effective? Has it helped you?
Paid back?
Yeah. Did you pay it back on time? So that's really what, it depends on when it comes to the SBA microloans. I've also helped business owners get an average of $30,000 to $50,000 with the unsecured business lines of credit. Like I said earlier, I've helped someone get $200,000, but that's because they had a 20-year
That's pretty
credit
rare,
history.
Yeah.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
So usually if the average person may have 5 to 10 years or 5 to 15 years of credit history, they'll fall into that average range of 30 to 50,000. So I always tell startup business owners, if you're looking for financing, your best options are either the unsecured business lines of credit if you have good credit and well-established credit, and then the SBA microloan if you have bad credit and no revenues, really.
Right.
And the SBA will want you to show them a business plan as well.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
another
yeah.
thing. With the unsecured business lines of credit, they don't really care about that. It's all about, your personal credit history. Personal credit is sort of like your collateral with
Yeah,
that type of
right.
financing.
Okay,
But
I got it.
with the SBA, they have a bit more requirements.
Your personal credit's real important.
It's
I mean, it is.
really
It's huge.
important, and I think a lot of people don't understand how important it is
Yeah.
until they go to the bank and they apply and then they're declined.
Yes, yes.
Because they really put you under a microscope.
Oh, yeah.
They really
Even
do.
more so today, probably.
Absolutely. And like I said before, existing business owners can usually get more in SBA funding. So like the average SBA microloan is $13,000, but if you have an existing business and you have bad credit, you can get closer to that $50,000 amount if you have, or if you're generating a certain amount of revenue. Say let's say $100,000 a year, you can get a higher amount.
Okay. So how do I qualify for capital when my company is a startup or existing business?
When you're a startup, like I said, lenders are going to want to look at your personal credit since your business most likely doesn't have any revenues yet. And then they'll also look at your annual household income.
Okay.
And then when you're an existing business, like I said, depending on the type of financing you're applying for, lenders will look at both your personal and your business credit. For example, when applying for an SBA 7A loan, like I mentioned earlier, if you're applying for a 7A loan under $350,000, there's this new thing called the liquid credit score. It's a combination of your business and your personal credit. And it has to be at least a 140 to qualify for that SBA 7A loan.
Oh, the score.
Yeah,
140.
the score has to be at least 140. So they take your personal FICO score and combine it with this liquid credit score, and it has to equal out to 140 for you to be able to qualify for an SBA 7A loan under $300,000.
So 7A loan is a better loan, a higher amount? Or?
You can get higher amounts, but it's mainly focused on specific industries.
Okay.
Not all industries will qualify for an SBA 7A loan.
That's 7A.
And the liquid credit score, just to go back to that liquid credit scoring model, it was created by the Fair Isaac Corporation, so the same people who created the FICO scoring model that most traditional banks use. Actually, 90% of the traditional banks use the FICO scoring model. They created that.
Okay.
So they're focusing more and more on your business credit as well. So that's why it's important to keep track of both your personal credit and your business credit and actually build business credit. And that's why I suggested that if you're starting out, you establish some unsecured business lines of credit, because some lenders do report those to the credit bureaus, specifically Experian Business, for example.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
And then Equifax Commercial is the other one. And then you have Dun & Bradstreet. Dun & Bradstreet, though, they typically only focus on what's called vendor trade lines. Vendor trade lines are when you get like a line of credit with Office Depot. Okay. To purchase equipment and things of that nature.
Yeah.
You can only use that trade line to purchase from that company. And those kind of trade lines, they report strictly to Dun & Bradstreet. But it's good to have both the unsecured business lines of credit from traditional banks and the vendor trade lines, because they're going to be reporting to all of those business credit bureaus. So that's how you build business credit. And some people fear getting lines of credit because they, people fear credit cards and things like that. But
that's true.
If you ever start a business and you plan on borrowing some, you're going to have to have it. You're going to have it. There's no way around it. You won't get any.
I mean, maybe not 10 or 12 credit cards.
Yeah. You can be modest. I always tell people to borrow within their means.
Yeah, always.
You don't want to overextend yourself.
That's the thing. So many do.
Yeah, and there's actually a website that I suggest all my clients use. It's a new site called Creditera. That's CREDITERA.com. Creditera.
Is that free too?
Yeah, they have a free account, and then they also have paid accounts where they give you more information if you do pay something.
Okay.
But it tracks your personal credit and business credit in one. So this goes back to that liquid FICO score where they're combining both to determine if you're going to qualify for that SBA 7A loan. So if you're a business owner and you have, if you want to establish some lines of credit and want to build your business credit and manage your personal credit better, this is a really good site to use to be able to do that. so you can always stay up to date on it, because this is the only site that actually offers a service like that, where you're able to track everything in one spot without signing up for all these different services. And then there's some key things that I want to talk about to help you manage both the business and the personal credit better. One of those things is keeping your utilization low. Oftentimes there are entrepreneurs that come to me who may only qualify for the unsecured business lines of credit. However, all of their personal credit cards are maxed out because they've used their personal credit cards to build their businesses.
Right.
And the problem with that is, once you reach 30% utilization, so that's 30% of your total available credit limit, the lender already views you as maxed out, even if there's still some of that limit still on, available to you to use. So if you go and apply for business lines of credit, you'll be denied just for that reason, because they feel like, hey, you're maxed out. So what we do is we tell you have to pay those down before we can even take you through the process of getting business lines of credit, because you're going to be denied for just that. And then the next thing is keeping your debt to income ratio below 28%. And that's basically, your debt shouldn't be more than 28% of your income. People always say, oh, that's impossible. But it is doable.
28%, yeah, that's...
I always suggest, some people say 36, some people say 30, but 28 is safe.
Yeah, that's pretty.
That's safe.
Yeah.
It's safe to stay in that range. And then, of course, make timely payments. Because if you have any recent late payments in the last 2 years, they're going to focus more on like the last 2 years. You'll be denied just for that, even if it's 1 or 2. In all honesty, it has to be spectacular. Your payment history has to be superb. And then you want to keep a mixture of both loans and lines of credit. Like I stated before, lenders like to lend to people who can manage different types of debt. So they want to see if you can manage a mortgage loan. They want to see if you can manage a car loan, a student loan, a personal line of credit, a store credit card from Macy's. They want to see a diverse mix. And if you don't have, in some instances, if you don't have that diverse mix, they might also deny you and say you have a limited credit history. It's not long enough.
Wow. So
that's something that you want to keep in mind. And then I always tell people, don't apply to too many lenders at once, because it looks like you're desperate. So, those people that go and apply at this bank and then that credit union, and they're all pulling your credit within a couple days.
So how do you suggest? What do they go?
Well,
1, 2?
I suggest 1 or 2 tops, because different lenders pull from different bureaus. Michigan in particular is an Experian heavy state, TransUnion too in some instances. So you have to be mindful, and they're not going to tell you which bureau that they're pulling from. So you have to be mindful of how many times you're applying. Most likely, if you get that denied at one, you're going to get denied at the other. So you want to stop there and talk to an expert like me, someone who can really analyze your credit history to determine what you're going to qualify for, so that you don't go and start applying everywhere, and then you have to wait another 6 months to start applying again, because when you apply for unsecured business lines of credit, for example, they're going to look over the last 6 months or how many times you applied at other banks.
Yeah, there's a lot to know out there, and that's when it's a good idea to come to you,
Yeah, absolutely. And what it does is it creates what's called hard inquiries. And a hard inquiry is like a no-no to a lender, because, like I said, you look desperate. Lenders like to lend to people who don't necessarily need it.
This is true. Yes, for sure.
And so people like Mike Jones.
Oh, your credit must be superb.
That's what the auto dealer said when we leased our car. It was $850 or something like that.
Right. So too many of those hard inquiries, it looks like desperation to the lenders, and they're like, no, we don't want to. This person needs money, so we're going to back off.
Yeah, they're desperate. Yeah.
And then, like I said before, to build the business credit, you just establish the vendor trade lines and make timely payments. Just purchase office equipment here and there, $10, $15 a month, pay it off. And that'll help get you up to that 80 paydex score with Dun & Bradstreet.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the answer to that question.
So how long does it take to obtain capital, for instance, for a startup or existing business? roughly?
So for startups, it can take anywhere from 30 to 90 days, depending on what type of financing you're qualifying for. For example, unsecured business lines of credit can take as little as 30 days. If you have exceptional credit history,
Wow.
I've helped someone get $50,000 in 2 weeks. But
Wow.
again, they had really, really good
Superb,
credit.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
that's pretty quick.
Yeah,
that's a quick turnaround.
That's quick. So, and with SBA microloans, the process is a little bit longer. It's about 90 days with what my company does, because we write the business plan for you. You have to have a business plan when you're applying for an SBA microloan. So
Okay.
we have to do all the research and put everything together to write the business plan and the financial projections, and then put together a complete loan package, because they'll always ask for like supporting documentation.
There's a lot to it.
It is a lot to it. So the unsecured business lines of credit are actually really a lot easier
Right.
and faster to obtain. Well, I don't want to say easier, but simpler.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part about the lines of credit is you have to just maintain good credit over time.
Yeah. Okay.
And like I said, for existing businesses, it can take as little as 1 week to get funding, and then as much as 90 days. And again, that goes back to what type of financing you're applying for.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, there's alternative financing out there for a lot of existing business owners, and you may be familiar with this as a former restaurant owner.
Mm-hmm.
There's something called accounts receivables
Oh, yeah.
financing, aka factoring.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's short-term loans that are really, really big right now called merchant cash advances.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's based on your credit card, daily credit card sales.
Right.
Those types of financing for an existing business can take as little as 1 week. I helped a security company based out of Southfield obtain a $250,000 line of credit,
Mm-hmm.
and then also a $70,000 merchant cash advance in a week's time.
Wow.
But they had over $1.5 million in revenue. And both
Yeah,
of the business
kind of like
owners-
Richard.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
And then both of the business owners, they both had pretty decent credit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
existing businesses, it can go a little bit faster. But then again, for that SBA 7A loan for existing businesses,
Yeah.
again, that process can take a little bit longer. Any process with the SBA
Mm-hmm.
is not going to be very fast.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Working with someone like me, we help you make it
Dot
simple.
.gov, right?
Yeah, .gov. Yeah, that never moves as quickly
No.
as people would like. A lot of people want to stay away from the SBA.
Right.
Like, the process is tedious, but
But if somebody wants to go through the SBA, they can go to you too, right?
Yeah.
And you help them every
Yes.
step of the way.
right, because I have relationships as a broker with SBA lenders, and they
Oh,
go
okay.
through people like me
Oh, good.
to promote their lending programs and help people prepare to apply.
Nice.
So, for example, with the SBA, and depending on any type of financing you apply for, lenders will require you to submit certain supporting documentations to support, whether or not you can actually pay that money back. So they'll ask for a copy of your credit reports. Sometimes they may pull it. Like with me, since I'm kind of like a middleman between you and the lender, what I will do is have you pull your own credit first, just so I can look at it and say, okay, this is what we need to work on, or
Before they
this
pull it.
before they pull it,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's just going to create a hard inquiry,
Yeah.
like I stated before.
Yeah.
So I'll go through it and say, okay, this is what I think you're going to qualify for, based on what I see here. And then they may ask for a copy of the business plan. That's usually with the SBA. Any SBA loan, they want to see business plans
Right.
and financial projections a lot.
Yeah.
And then they may ask for last 2 years of your personal and or business tax returns. So you want to make sure you have those in place before you approach.
Do you help them with business plans too? Going
Yes,
back to that?
I do write business
Oh,
plans
okay.
as well.
Wow. You do it all.
Yep. I try.
One-stop shop.
Yep. Mhm.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, like for merchant cash advances, they'll ask for your bank statements anywhere from 3 to 12 months, because they want to see what your daily deposits are like.
Yeah.
Or what your credit card sales
Oh, yeah.
are like.
Yeah.
And they go by that. And just to go back to merchant cash advances, those are really high interest rate type of loans, because they debit your account daily. And a lot of restaurants that have a high volume of daily credit card sales may use things like a merchant cash advance. I don't recommend them to businesses that don't have a lot of daily deposits, because it'll just drain your bank account.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they'll ask for things like profit and loss statements, balance sheets, annual income statements, interim financial statements, your accounts receivables and accounts payable reports, and your business debt schedule. A business debt schedule just shows and lists all of your outstanding debts.
Yeah,
So
that's important.
the key here is to just be prepared before you apply.
Yeah,
And
that's where you come in. Definitely.
And that's pretty much where I come in, because, most people have no clue what they're supposed to do to prepare themselves before.
I mean, you almost have to hire like a lawyer too for some of it. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of the financial companies that I work with, they have a lawyer on their team to dispute items on people's credit reports, but he costs like $2,000.
Wow.
So this is why I say, you just have to be prepared to get.
So have you ever had to go up against a lawyer too and answer their questions? I mean, has it ever gone that far? No.
No, it hasn't gone that far.
Because I mean, some of this you need to know legal terms and stuff, probably, right?
Yeah.
When you get involved with some of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I did take a training that was offered by an organization called All Regs, which is really popular in the mortgage loan industry. They created a certification program with the Fair Isaac Corporation.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's called a Certified FICO Professional. I have that certification,
Wow.
so they teach you all of these terms and everything that I went through here.
Very
I pretty
good.
much learned from that, taking that course, and then also just years of experience. And I work with former bankers and people who,
So you got a lot of connections. That's
Yeah.
good. That's really good.
Absolutely.
I mean, being what, 7 years into this only?
Yes, only 7 years. But
That's
I started
pretty good.
at 22,
Yeah,
straight out of the gate.
really young. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, we pretty much covered all of that. Richard, what are you doing over there? Playing with your phone? You got any questions, Richard, for Brittni? She's really well read, I'll tell you that. On
I
this
have
stuff.
only a statement.
Okay.
You're a lot nicer than the Shark Tank.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I like watching the Shark Tank.
And I think I
Sometimes
need to
Mr.
change
Wonderful.
that.
Yeah.
I need to be more like Kevin O'Leary.
Oh, Mr. Wonderful.
That's my favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
eventually I want to be a venture capitalist. So
Oh, okay,
go.
okay.
I need to work on that.
But, I'm intrigued, as others might be, at the whole prospect of getting something conceptually to, like, really,
Moving
having
it along.
customers and making money.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, it's a big deal. When you jump into some of them loans, I mean,
Yeah. And what I noticed too is the better the credit, the
Yeah.
more kind of standoffish they are about borrowing. They have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And they're really,
Right. They want to protect that good credit.
They do.
They really do.
They do. And it's usually the people with bad credit who are like, they just want to dive right
Yeah,
in.
I have this great idea. I want $500 million. I love it. But there are people like that, they just, I don't know. It's a tough deal, going into any business,
Yeah,
especially today.
It's definitely not
It's a
as
real
easy
risk.
as it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some people.
So if people want to get a hold of you, what do they do?
You can get a hold of me two ways. You can visit my website online at www.capitallinker.com. I'll spell that for you. It's CAPITAL, just one L, INKER, capitallinker.com. And then you can also reach me by phone at 734-249-8986.
And if anybody wants to contact me, I can put them in contact with you too. So
Sounds good.
be no problem. I got your card here and all that. Mike, anything you want to say?
No, it's like Richard said, I have good credit, and I'm not interested in upsetting that at all.
I guess, it's there for a rainy day, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
You never know when you might.
I make more money from people like you. So I'd love to work with you.
Take her card. You got it.
I don't have any $500 million ideas about opening a business.
No, I don't either. Not at this juncture in my life, that's for sure. Richard might, though. I don't know. Might go into golf cart business or...
Well, my motto for
What?
gifts, and anyone ever wants to buy me anything. You either have to eat it, wear it, or drive it. If I can't eat it, wear it, drive it, I don't want it.
Sometimes drink it.
Well, that goes into the eat it.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Lumped in there.
So, but I think that Brittni O'Leary just did a fabulous job.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, there you go. I can pronounce that.
Yeah,
I slaughtered her name kind of, but yeah, I taught B.A. We're going to say just B.A. call her.
Yeah.
Or Brittni A. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciated it. I mean, you really gave us a lot of information there, and we wish you luck. And anytime you want to come back, you're in the neighborhood, so stop by anytime.
I definitely will. I appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely.
Good deal.
Commissioner LeBlanc.
There you go.
Yeah. Richard is in the house, by the way, for those of you that
Clapping.
can't see the video yet.
Applause can commence right now.
Brittni, thanks again. Take care, all right? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. You too. All right. Brittni B. And Brittni A. All right. Take care. Let's see. So, if anyone has any questions, they can contact me, and I'll give you the information. All right. Let's move along here. Like I said, Richard's in the house.
Richard is in the house.
So how you feeling? You're sounding better. You're not coughing and hacking as much.
Not 100%, but I'm a long way from where I was a week ago.
Well, let me tell you, you've had it more than a week.
I've had it,
A long time.
well, it'd be 4 weeks today.
Yeah, and you had the same thing last year. I remember this.
Yeah.
Yep. So I don't know. You're just odd.
Yeah. There you go. I'm with you.
So let's talk about Kiwanis a little bit. We had all three of us had the opportunity
Very cool.
and pleasure of attending the memorial Kiwanis memorial ceremony for the
walkway
past
dedication.
walkway for the past members, and then the 67th anniversary dinner, right, for Garden City, and 100th for International.
Correct.
So how was it, Mike? Tell us.
It's pretty good. We had a big crowd, as you saw.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's over 50
Full house. Full
over
house.
50 people there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Good food.
Oh yeah, Veronica's Catering is always good food.
Oh, it was Veronica's?
Yeah.
I would have canceled my 7 o'clock had I known that.
Straight Farmhouse did a real nice job setting it
did.
all up. Got to give them some credit. Did anybody take the tours over there afterwards?
They did.
Good. They always like doing the tours. Don't take all the black ones because Mike likes those.
Yeah. I see you replenish the black ones.
Yeah, I had to bring this one up after he hit it last week. But no, it was real nice. Richard, you gave a resolution, and then Senator Knisik and State Rep Julie sent theirs, and Cheryl had the opportunity to present that to him.
Well, I know that most people in the room either were Kiwanians, are Kiwanians, or have a decent knowledge of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll suspect not everybody in the room was aware of the one notable item that I had mentioned that we included in our resolution. $500,000 worth of funds generated by Kiwanians in Garden City and donated back.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of darn money.
That is a big deal. Big deal. In 67 years, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Started.
And all them dimes, they add up, don't they?
Oh yeah, we did very well on the fines tonight. And after the meeting, they had all those dimes out as the centerpieces.
Yeah.
So I asked President Monica, says, "What are you going to do with these dimes as the centerpieces? You want to just put them into the fine category?" He says, "Okay, yeah." So
you got all those, yeah.
I scooped them all up.
Awesome. I think Richard took a few with him, but that's besides the point.
No, but I had them ready just in case I was going to get fined.
I saw that. All right.
100 years.
100
Kiwanis
years.
Started
Wow.
in Detroit.
Long
Detroit
time.
chapter was number 100 years ago.
Wow. And it was nice seeing Gary Simon's family there tonight.
They were well represented.
Past member. Yeah, he was well. Yeah, they were all. That's going to be really nice too. They're going to nice deal there. So, if anybody gets a chance, head on over to Straight Farmhouse, and you'll be able to see the walkway over there. It's very nice. So, Richard, what do you got for us for county? What do you want to cover? It's been a little while.
I'm not
Well,
sure.
you did call in last week. So.
I did. I'm not sure. Did I talk about the reorganization plan?
A little bit. You touched on it.
So the county commission adopted unanimously the executive's proposed plan. So there'll be some consolidation effort, some shifting of some things. All of it working toward a $3 million savings annually. And, even though we are a big budget, $3 million here, $3 million there, pretty soon you're talking big money.
Yeah, exactly. I think you did mention the library for the blind or something. They're going to.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to
be some transitioning.
Right, but it's still going to be available.
And the homeless, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
And the homeless.
Yeah, so there'll be some transitioning of some things. Some items, of course, or some programs, rather, will be intact, but probably less employees doing more work each to get where we need to be. But that's the mantra.
Yeah.
That's the way it's been for a few years now. Really.
We're still waiting on the budget.
Multitasking.
Yeah. So we're still waiting on the budget. Hope that we get it soon because, it's going to take effort.
Exactly. It's a lot to go over.
Yeah. We have a deadline of September 30th, but.
And you mentioned nothing with the jail. I mean, that's.
Nope.
What is that, $1 million a year or something that's costing us? Or
a month.
A month, I mean?
A month,
yeah, a month. What am I saying, a year? I wished.
Yeah, it's just a big albatross.
It is. It really is. Well, maybe he's got a plan for it. I don't know, but
it's
not
acknowledged that there's other matters, even though it sounds odd to say it, that have more immediacy attached to them. They're more pressing.
Yeah.
We know the jail is just a huge problem.
Yeah.
But there's other things that have to be addressed, and
you have priority.
So the executive has got a lot on the plate.
Yeah.
Going to need the cooperation of the commission for much of it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it he can do himself.
Yep.
It's been observed that it's been, I'll call it a long honeymoon period, but really it hasn't. It's only been 5 months.
Yeah.
But
not long.
Before long, things will shake out probably with this budget, and we'll hear some squawking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My committee will next week. I'm sorry, not next week. The week after next, we'll entertain some folks from out of state that are coming in. They have an interest in a portion of the Erythropolis area.
Oh, really?
They would wish to. Well, they'll share with us their plan. I don't know a lot about it at this point, but they've been working on it for about a year.
Okay.
With the former administration, now the current administration, and the goal is to develop property, find suitable tenants, if you will.
There's a lot out there, a lot of property out there.
So we have a lot going for us in Wayne County in terms of logistics.
Mm-hmm.
We have major airports.
Yep.
We have an international crossing.
Right.
We have
going to have a second one.
A lot of land near this premier airport. I mean, the McNamara terminal is one of the top 5 in the country.
Yeah.
And in a lot of
why not
ways.
Utilize that,
So, the economy is bouncing back, and I haven't seen any projections that would suggest that it's very short term or anything like that. So it's likely there's going to be
some movement.
Additional interest and investment in Wayne County.
Good.
And as chair of economic development, some of that, or perhaps even most of it at the county level, would come through our committee. So.
And what was that you were saying today? You picked up another committee or something? Health and Human Services. Health and Human Services. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So I think I have 5 committees now.
Do you really?
It's a lot of work. It is.
Yeah, Jesus.
In Health and Human Services, the chairman, Tim Colleen, has been chair for some time. He knows the department. He knows the committee. I'm one of the new people in terms of committee assignment there. But boy, it's very expansive. It's very big. Mm-hmm. So, I was thrust in with both feet. We'll see what happens.
Right. What else you got in there written down? I see you wrote some stuff. Or are those jokes?
Well, I did. No jokes. I was asked today by a person who acknowledged that I still have connections at various levels of government. Mm-hmm. They were asking where we're at with roads.
Okay. Yeah,
And,
where are we?
So I said, I'm really not the right person to ask,
Yeah.
but my assessment is they're not as, the state legislature is not as, maybe targeted would be the right word, in terms of a quick fix. And I don't mean quick as in bad, I mean quick as in let's get it done, as I might have thought. But many members of the legislature, lobbyists, and business people are up in on Mackinac Island this weekend.
I was going to ask you about that.
And I can tell you from personal experience, it might be easy to say, oh, they're up there vacationing. It really, really...
A lot of people do think that.
It's a productive
lot of money.
environment.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It is.
The commission has one person there.
I mean, and that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were state rep, did you had the opportunity to go there? Or no?
Oh, yeah, and I did. I went there, I think, every year but one.
But and I mean, I've talked to several people about this, is why they have to have it there every year, I don't know.
Oh,
Why-
it's actually a good thing.
Why not? Well, I imagine it is. It's beautiful. It's expensive. But why can't they have it at different venues? Why couldn't they? Like Detroit could definitely use that revenue they spend
Yeah.
there. Cobo Hall they have. Why couldn't they have it there?
Because it's not the same.
Why?
It's
Because you're not
hard
sitting
to
on a front
describe.
porch rocking in a chair?
That's a big deal. No, seriously. There are people who...
What has come out of these Mackinac policies? I mean, that we can we can relate to. What have we?
I think that in a general sense, policy conversations may begin there, but decisions aren't made. Excuse me. Decisions are not made there, but relationships are made there. And
So networking, a lot of networking.
in ways and at a scale that's really not imaginable unless you're part of it. I mean, for example, dignitaries, okay, a lot of us know politicians, that's good. But, like, for example, Mr. Ford, Bill Ford Jr. is there today.
Yeah.
Bill is a fairly accessible person, but not fairly accessible to everybody. But on the island, look, you're on a 6-mile island, and it's just, it's hard to put into words, really.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm not totally convinced it's a great thing.
Yeah.
And I talk to a lot of people, and they think it's just a big junket up there.
Yeah. It's not a junket in terms of who pays for it, that's for sure.
Well, it is. It's expensive. And I just think that money could be well spent in other communities. I just, other cities maybe, I don't know.
No, I would disagree.
No.
I think that it's, when it was first decided to be held there, it may have been viewed as novel. Now, there's all parts of it. The drive there, the fly there, the ferry ride from Mackinac City to Mackinac Island, bicycling, because there's no cars, horse and carriage. It's just, I'm not a huge fan of Mackinac Island for vacation. I'm really not.
No, I'm not either. Last time I was
the kids
there, I
there
wasn't
when they were
impressed.
young. We went there about every other year for probably 10 years.
I'll be honest with you. We were there one year, and the horse crap was just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
They weren't cleaning it up. I mean, it was just terrible.
Well,
So I don't know if they got a handle on that,
but the
I'm not a big fan
island, I
either.
think, is it's good for this conference. It's real good.
yeah. See, I don't know.
And
I'm just not hearing anything coming out of these conferences.
I can tell you that it's kind of funny. In 2000, let's see, I think it was 2011, I actually decided to leave the island a day early. And I got onto the boat with one of my colleagues, and a journalist happened to be on the same ride with us, and we had an interesting conversation. And they're prying for information. They got a sell script,
Right.
and we were willing to talk. And you glean a lot from it. But certainly there have been issues in the past with some people getting carried away. Yesterday, for example, there were protesters regarding the proposed underground pipeline that interrupted the governor. But the governor's a pretty classy guy, and not everybody likes him. I get it. But he handled it with dignity and, didn't get ticked off or anything like that. And, those things happen.
That happens.
I've seen protesters
It's part of the
on
job,
island
man. Let's face it.
Because you'll have probably 20% minimum of the legislature there at an average conference. In an election year, it's a little bit different than that, and so I don't know. But I mean, you get where I'm coming from too, right? Playing the devil's advocate. I understand it.
Yeah,
but I think it's one of those things that unless you've participated in that, perhaps you would not see the benefit the same way that I do. And I see great benefit to it. If it were more economically feasible, I'd likely attend again. But
let's see if there's any no comment.
It's not cheap.
No, it isn't. It isn't. Mike, what are your thoughts?
No, Bill Ford had an interesting assessment today, I think it was, where he compared the early years of the automobile industry from like 1900 to 1939 or whatever, and how that was just the impetus for so much growth in building in Michigan, and how he thought that we were potentially entering a similar phase like that again.
Yeah, I mean, that drove our economy back then, let's face it. It really did.
He says we're going to have to be careful about the choices we make and so forth.
Yeah.
And I can see this really taking off again.
Well, I hope so.
Well, a lot of folks would say that the industrial age, and more pointedly, auto, created the middle class.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, today, if you talk to somebody that says, I want to work on the line, well, the line probably pays half what it paid a decade or more ago.
Yep.
The middle class is eroding. And it's still interesting that folks can, I mean, we all do it. You go out and you either purchase or lease a car that retails for the mid-30,000s.
Yeah.
And the average person getting hired on the line right now at the automobile manufacturers, again, new employee on the line does not earn that much in a year.
No, they don't. We actually went to a party last night, Cheryl and I, for a friend of ours, and I was talking to a lady that works at Ford's, and she's one of the old timers, and she's been there a while, and she lives in Saline, and she worked at the Saline plant, and what she's doing is she's jumping from plant to plant because they're trying to bring these tier 2 employees in and force them out, is basically what they're trying to do. So, and it's a contract year, so it's going to be very interesting this year.
One of the people that I became associated with, a former legislator in Lansing, is now lobbying, and they recently secured Ford Motor as a client. Now, Ford has lots of lobbyists.
Oh, yeah.
This person suggested to me that there's speculation that Ford may become the target because they're positioned financially better than the other companies.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Strikes are difficult. The threat of a strike is difficult.
Yep.
I am a union supporter, and but some folks
strikes are tough.
They take it to an extreme. I mean, I can remember in the 70s when I was working at the tool and die shop, we would go on strike about once a month. It was crazy. And as a young kid, I viewed it as a vacation.
Yeah.
So we'll be off for a week or two, whatever. That's fine.
But then
with
as
me.
you got older and realized.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it really has an impact on things.
And I couldn't even tell you when the last automobile strike was. I don't
can't
know.
either.
But I would suggest, and it's only my opinion, that's it, the newspaper strike of the early 1980s, folks within that industry never recovered.
No.
The newspapers lost from that day forward.
Huge.
Certainly the internet has played a role.
Yeah.
But I remember that was an angry strike.
That was
if you had a newspaper on your porch,
volatile.
your neighbor might hate you.
Yes.
For that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was really bitter, very bitter.
So my hope is that Ford, being the good stewards that they are, and the union being probably more productive and more efficient than they've ever been, will meet each other where they need to meet.
Yeah,
and get it done.
Yeah, I'm looking for a good outcome there. I mean,
but it is a year for contracts.
Yes, it is. It is absolutely. So, what else you got?
Nothing.
Nothing. That's
honey.
it. What was it you had mentioned you wanted? We have to do a show on one time. I can't remember what you had talked about. It would be real interesting. Was it about
Golf carts?
No, Facebook or? Gosh, I can't remember. I knew I should have written it down. What was it?
I remember now.
What is it?
I've been contacted by an individual who made a suggestion that oftentimes people will do things within social media that'll cost them their job.
Yes.
And
we probably know a mutual person it might have happened to. Maybe. One or two.
Off the top of my head, I truly don't know who you might be speaking about.
Well,
but I can tell you this. A person close to me one time put what appeared to be a very innocent comment regarding their employer on Facebook.
Yeah.
I happened to be on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I saw it, and it said, I think they call it Just Now or something like that. I mean, the person had just done it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I remember who you're talking about.
Okay.
And yes, social media definitely was a significant factor in that person losing their position.
I absolutely probably agree
but anyway,
with you.
I called the person that put this post on there, and I said, take it down right now. Trust me on this. Take it down right now. And they did.
Was it too late?
It was not too late.
Okay.
Because this literally was inside of a minute.
Wow.
And I doubt that maybe enough people or the right person saw it. But I said, as innocent as it may seem to you, I will tell you, no employer likes even veiled criticism.
And let me tell you, they scan Facebook, they scan Twitter, they really do, especially even if you're applying for a job.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, I do it.
Yeah.
I've hired people. I already have staff. So I tell them, we're looking for a person that has these qualities. So we get the applications in, I whittle it down, and then I say, all right, you do this, you do this. The person on my left, you're going to go to Facebook, and I want you to print out a little bit of the timeline. I want to see who they are, what they do.
That's good.
And there are people that I don't want them representing me.
I totally get that. I really do. People divulge so much on social media, and
I think
it bites them in the butt.
In government, I'm not going to say more so than private sector business, but in government, I think that if you try to meld private sector business with government, it's especially touchy. Mm-hmm. If you are a person employed by a large corporation that has public presence, and you have a notable position, and then at night you are an activist of sorts, and you allow the political process to determine some of the things that you choose to share via social media, there's risk.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you that I personally have made purchasing decisions in part based upon a representative of the company sharing something that is counter to what I believe to be right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I won't shop there, for example.
Right.
And
I get it.
My little bit of money that I might spend, big deal. But I got to believe there's some folks that agree with that type of thinking, if not with me personally. So if you have the face of a company saying and doing things that are counter to progress, counter to advancement, counter to this, counter to that.
Good.
And you're going to also frequent their business? I don't know. That's one of the reasons I have never asked a business to put one of my campaign signs on their window or on their lawn. I've never done that, ever. I've been asked by businesses, give me one of your signs, and I've declined. One time, a person got the sign, but not from me.
Okay.
And I said, okay, so I left it there. But if I see somebody that has a sign at their establishment and it's someone that's worked against me, I won't frequent that business. I won't do it.
Yeah.
It's my money.
Yeah.
I get to choose who gets it.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't want anybody saying, I don't like that guy, and they have his sign, so I'm not shopping there. I don't want anyone playing the same way I play.
And they do that. Yeah, you're right. What, Mike?
I had the same thing happen with my barber. he was willing to put up one of my signs, and then somebody said, if you're supporting him, then I'm no longer one of your customers.
Wow.
It's like,
Yeah, some
so
people
he took
really
it
take.
down, and I told him, good, you should have taken it down.
Well, I wrote it down, and we're going to do a show on that. I think we should do that.
Good.
Comments on social media, risking your job,
Yeah.
maybe possibly ruining an possible interview.
People are sitting at home in the privacy of their own home with their computer, and they think
Yeah.
you can do this stuff without any retribution at all.
It's a world wide web. They don't get it.
Yeah. And I'm not even going to suggest that it's fair, but it is what it is.
But I get it. I definitely get it. I mean, if I say I own Target and I had a bunch of Target employees on Facebook and they're ripping Target, I don't want them people working for me on Facebook,
I know a number of people in government that don't have Facebook pages.
Okay.
And that's the reason.
Just for that reason.
They,
Some people
I
can't
don't need
filter
the
themselves.
controversy.
Some people can't filter themselves.
But some folks say, I don't need
Or
the
trust
controversy
themselves.
associated with it.
Yeah.
And now, personally, I'm sure that there's been some things that I've done or said that have not set well with some people, but I try to be very careful.
Yeah.
I try to be very complimentary.
Yeah.
I try to be very decided. I'm not wishy-washy with my stuff.
But I was talking with Senator Kanisic, and we both agree that you are the king of getting a discussion going on Facebook.
Aha.
I mean, absolutely. He's the king of likes, and you're the king of comments.
Well, I'm between the two of us.
He's
At least
pretty
right
much
now,
likes. Yeah.
I'm the king of likes and shares. But he'll catch me one day, and he'll pass me. My whole proposal one thing is just wow.
Oh yeah, that was.
I was so fascinated.
And you had something else.
2,066 shares and nearly 5,000 likes.
And that
That's
wasn't
nuts.
boosted. That wasn't boosted.
No.
Yeah.
No.
How they boost these things.
No, I didn't pay or anything.
No. That's crazy.
After the first day when I had like 200 shares, I thought, wow, I'm onto something here.
You can get the conversation going, that's for sure.
Well,
Absolutely.
Sometimes the conversation needs to get going. Not all times, but sometimes.
Yeah.
I posted something about the film industry credits. And genuinely, I said, what are your thoughts? Mm-hmm. The state has shied away from its once very, very generous application of tax dollars toward film industry.
Yeah.
And, now in a real sense, although the appropriation is more than the amount of money that I'll mention, there's going to be about $5 or $6 million applied toward films, which it's insignificant as related to the big film picture, if I can call it that without being coy.
Yeah, you're talking big money.
Former Lieutenant Governor John Cherry commented on my post today.
Okay.
We're friends. And what he said was, it was begun by the former administration and never embraced by the current administration. Mm-hmm. So, when you say, rah, rah, here's what we're going to do, and then you chip away at something year after year, pretty soon it's just going to fail. It just is. And I have to acknowledge, I'm not a big fan.
Well, look what happened in Allen Park.
With Allen Park and Pontiac.
Yeah, and Pontiac too. Wow.
Allen Park got screwed.
Oh, big time.
So,
big time.
Based on the if come, it's like when Brittni's here, the difference is that instead of a bank being on the hook, government's on the hook.
Yeah. Right.
And that's tough, especially a local government who lost more in Allen Park than their entire budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
Getting back to, full circle to where we began, Facebook and social media is a great place to solicit input. Oh, it's a great place to share information. It's a great place to have fun. It is.
But you got to think and use it right.
But, the wrong comment at the wrong time with the wrong audience can be very, very costly.
Yep.
A number of people have lost employment. A number of businesses have gone out of business.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to be far more careful than
Here's
some
a good
people are.
example. Cable companies on Facebook. Somebody had WOW. They ripped WOW up and down. All of a sudden, a WOW representative saw that.
Oh.
Chimes in. What can we do for you?
Yeah.
Comcast, same thing. I've seen it. let me tell you, Facebook has got a lot of pull. If you complained about something and those people, AT&T or whatever's on there,
no
they're,
doubt.
oh, come on. It's huge.
Well, I had a challenge, so to speak, with my local credit union.
Uh-huh.
And I have 2 credit union accounts. I have Parkside Credit Union and Dearborn Federal.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both good. I like them both. But I made an observation, and it was just something that, I thought, we could do better as a Parkside Credit Union. Mm-hmm. So I commented on their page, and I'll be darned, I got a phone call to my house.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I know them.
it.
When I walk into Parkside, and I did just yesterday, when I walk in there, I know everybody there.
Uh-huh.
Unless it's a brand new person, and I'll know them soon.
Yeah.
But I know everybody. So I made this post, not expecting anything. And my phone rang like 15 minutes later.
Yeah.
And they wanted to talk about it. It was like, wow. You got somebody monitoring.
Yeah.
That's not inexpensive to do.
No, it isn't.
And think
they'll
about it.
pay.
10 years ago, there was nobody doing that.
Exactly. They'll pay somebody, maybe divorced woman or a widow or something at home just to monitor their Facebook pages and
so there is incredible power.
Yeah.
People who neglect to recognize the power of social media are really missing out.
Exactly. But
it
let me
can
tell you,
be
you got to
such a
use it
great
right,
thing.
like you said. It is. It is. It's a fabulous tool.
I often, especially lately, have referred to social media as evidence. And what I say, someone says, "Oh boy, you're here, you're there, you're all over the darn place." It's just evidence.
Yeah.
Just prove them, at certain points in the day what I'm doing, where I am.
Well, when Cheryl was,
I often do it though when I'm done.
Yeah, and I mean, here's another reason. Cheryl was in the hospital, and I had all her friends wanting to know how she's doing. Instead of having to call each and every one of them, I just went on Facebook, made a blanket statement, and picked which ones I want. It's great.
I have to admit though, I'm still old-fashioned. I get invitations.
I do call some
for events.
Yeah.
From family members, like a birthday party or this or that.
Yeah.
I don't even look at that stuff. I just don't. As of today, I have 4,973 of my closest friends on Facebook with me.
Yeah.
I can't see everything that everyone's doing. So invitations, I don't even look at them.
Yeah, me too.
And messages, about once a week, I'll say, "Oh, darn, I got about 50 messages. I better look at it."
Yeah, yeah.
I really don't like that part of it, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, messages, I do look at a lot of messages, but yeah, like invites, I get a ton of those, and I'm the same way.
Well, my mom says to me, "Are you going to Robbie's birthday party?" I said, "Robbie who?"
Well, you got the invite on
She said,
Facebook.
"Your nephew." I said, "When did I get invited?" "Oh, well, such and such sent out an invitation on Facebook." I said, "Oh, gosh, Mom, I don't even look at that."
That's crazy. Yeah. Mike, you need to get on Facebook more.
No, thank you.
You got any comments on the Facebook story?
Do I?
Yeah. Social media?
I think that, as I said, people are very lax in their monitoring of what they put on there. I think there's more stuff on than I'm interested in keeping up with, and I don't really care where Richard's been today.
Hold on a second there, mister.
I don't need to know that.
Let me tell you, in 2008,
You know.
because I was pretty much a fanatic already, I advised our caucus that one of the things that I noticed was where members of the other party were campaigning. Certain people in certain seats would post on there, "Oh, I'm in such and such neighborhood. We've just hit, 48 doors. Now we're headed to," and I said, "Don't say anything. Let it play out. And you'll know where they are because they just can't resist telling everybody everything in real time."
Exactly.
And so you can get the upper hand.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
That's why I choose to not do that until I'm done.
Yeah, that's true. But, yeah, it's going to be a good show. I think we're going to do that topic real quick, real soon. How soon you want to do that?
I want to do that in July.
July?
Yep.
All right.
That'll give us time to figure out guests.
Yeah, I'd like to get, maybe social media experts and all that on here. See what
Find
we can
somebody
do.
and let
All
them
right.
share what they know.
That'd be a good show. Yeah.
I have to go a long way to
Somebody in the chat room said that'd be a great show.
Well, just remember where it came from.
Yeah. Me and Richard.
Oh, whoa. You're the host.
All right, you're done, right?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's move on here. If you haven't been to Brenda's Butterfly Habitat yet, have you ever been there? You got to go there.
Have I ever been there? Yes. Have I been
okay.
there this year? No. And I did say to Joe Barson today, as you heard me, I need some swamp milkweed.
Swamp milkweed. He's
So
got it.
I'm headed there this week.
Go see
Maybe
Debbie.
Saturday, in between relay stuff.
Yeah, relays this weekend.
I'll head over there and
We're
buy
going to get
some.
into that, yeah. But, yeah, if you haven't been there, you don't know what you're missing. It's located at Barson's Greenhouse, 6414 Merriman Road. And she's opening very soon, June 4th through the September 5th. And that's Thursday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. They'll be closed when it's raining. It's a great place to hang out with the kids, your grandkids, or just by yourself.
Is she going to have kits again this year? Because
You know,
last year I didn't get one. We waited too long.
You know, I don't know. I don't know if she hasn't mentioned anything about that, but I'm going to message her and find out.
I want 2 kits.
We'll get it on the show. Okay. Also, admission is free, but she does take donations. So if you're there, try to be generous because it's really a nice setup. Check it out. You won't be sorry. And if you're interested in becoming a member of the GCBA, they just come off a very successful Taste Fest. Wow. They wanted to. He's still full over here, Mike. He thought he was on Taste Fest tonight. He said he was so full.
Over at the Straight Farmhouse, you had a little bit extra?
Yeah,
a little bit extra. But our last stop on the Taste Fest was Tony's.
Yep.
That was ridiculous.
And I was so full about 3 restaurants before that that I just took a
Yeah, I thought it was pretty nice
home. Yeah.
that they were offering everybody styrofoam as you walked in the door.
Yeah, right, exactly. That was a great time, really was. So if you're interested in joining the GCBA, just visit their website at gcbiz48135.org or their Facebook page at facebook.com/Garden City Business Alliance, where you'll find much more information. The GCBA meets on the second Friday of every month, and their next meeting will be June 12th, 6 p.m. at Gordon Chevrolet. They're going to be hosting it, so they just become a member, and welcome Gordon Chevrolet. So bring your ideas and some business cards because networking is what it's all about. The GCBA is talking about some great events planned in the future for the community, so why not join and be part of it? Okay, let's do some more announcements with Mike and me, and then we'll shut this show down. Mike, what do you got?
Okay, let's start off with Gardenville Planting. Lucky Dog Luxury Daycare and Boarding is sponsoring a Help Plant Garden City's only community garden that grows local food for local food banks. Mm-hmm. Anyone is welcome to bring a small perennial to use in the flower section. That will take place this Saturday, along with everything else that's going on this weekend, at 11 o'clock a.m., 5921 Middlebelt Road in Garden City is where Lucky Dog is located. Mm-hmm. Regrettably, we have to announce that the planned Father's Day barbecue at Maplewood has been canceled.
Yeah, that was kind of a bad thing.
Yeah, we've run into a couple of problems, and there hadn't been any tickets sold when these
that would be a problem.
When these problems materialized.
Yeah,
and that's one of the reasons they decided that it would be easier to
cancel
it than try to find new people to run it.
Yep.
Kiwanis, Michigan District of Kiwanis, Division 4 is having their prayer breakfast on Saturday, a week from Saturday, June 6th at 9 a.m. Guest speaker is Richard Burrell from the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Buffet style, all you can eat at Amatea's Restaurant, $12 a person. It's located at 32777 Warren Road in Garden City, the corner of Warren and Vinoy. Mm-hmm. Advance reservations are required. Call 734-301-1677. Our Garden City Kiwanis Club is hosting it this year.
Yep.
And the last one I've got is a little more in the future. American Post, Legion Post 396 is having a golf outing on August 15th, 2015 at the Warren Valley Golf Course. A shotgun start at 9 a.m., $100 per golfer, 18 holes, scramble golf, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and raffle, and much more. And They do have a $15,000 prize for a hole-in-one. I asked Kerry last week, but he said they didn't think they were going to pay anything for a hole in 15.
I don't think so.
So I think I'm disqualified. The proceeds will benefit the home food pantry in Garden City. You can register by August 5th. And Siggy's Dogs is, I guess, sponsoring this, so please feel free to contact Paul Castellano. I probably mispronounced that. Castellute at 734.
Paul K.
Yeah,
there you go. Paulie K.
At 734-776-8025. Or this one I can handle. Dick King.
There you go, our friend Dick King.
Right at 734-564.
DK.
7080. That's all I have tonight, Gary.
All right. Good job. All right. This weekend is Relay for Life of Garden City. May 30th and 31st, going to be held at the Garden City Middle School, 1851 Radcliffe in Garden City. Survivor registration is at 9:30 a.m. Celebration and Survivor Lap is 10 a.m., followed by a complimentary breakfast and activities for all survivors and their caregivers. For more information, give them a call at 248-663-3419. And that's going to be 22 hours instead of 24 hours this year.
Right.
So hopefully it doesn't rain. Cross our fingers.
Yeah, it's not looking good right now.
No, not Saturday anyway. The Garden City Flea Circus, don't forget, is Saturday, June 13th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and that's going to be held over in the Farmers Market parking lot over by Kroger in the parking lot, northeast corner of Ford and Middlebelt. That's from 10 to 3. Pet adoption and awareness event. A 10 by 10 foot space is only $10. Multiple spaces are available. Applications available at the DDA office. Participants' registration should be submitted by June 1st, so that's right around the corner to reserve your space. Vaccinated, licensed, and leashed pets are welcome. For more information, contact Brooke at 313-320-1225. The DDA office is 734-261-2830. Let's see. You know, I wonder if they're still having this lunch and learn then over there at the Maplewood Center.
I don't know.
I'm not going to say.
They're looking for a new director for that.
Yeah.
For that program.
So
until that gets all sorted out, it's hard
right.
to say.
Well, I can comment on this. To celebrate Memorial Day, Party Animal Travel would like to take the veteran on a trip, free trip, to get away at the Greek Casino and Detroit Riverfront Days celebration. The date is for this trip is Saturday, June the 20th. Includes round trip by motor coach, $20 in slot play, and time to visit the best celebration on the river. If you have a veteran or are now serving, and it's also going to be for police and fire. So free trip to Greektown. If you're interested, give them a call, 734-525-9777. Proof of service will be required to obtain this trip. If you have a family member you want to take with you, that would be an additional $29 to take them with you. So if you're police and fire, check it out too. Party Animal. Straight Farmhouse is getting ready to start their outdoor flea market. They're located on 6221 Merriman Road. That's between Ford and Warren, and it's going to be held the second and third Saturday of each month, June through September, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Sign up begins at 8 a.m. For a 10 by 10 foot space, it's $15. Monies from the space rental go to the museum, payable the day of the flea market. Restrictions are no weapons, Richard, no offensive pictures or literature, no food or beverage sales.
Wow, that's a lot of rules.
They want a clean flea market. All right?
No comment.
No comment. The flea market will be held at the Straight Farmhouse. Outdoor flea market will be canceled if it's raining. So, and that's all I got. Oh no, I can't forget this.
Don't
Mrs. Chat
forget
would kill
that.
me. The 21st annual Garden Club Garden Walk is going to be held Saturday, June 20th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Tickets are now available. They're $8 each, or 2 for $15, and you can get them in advance at Barson's Greenhouse in Westland or Lucky Dog Daycare in Garden City. Boy, the phone number is
734.
Can you read that?
564-3868.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's hard to see there in the red. I need stronger glasses or something. All right, so that's all we have. Anybody, any final comments?
A little sports. Tigers are on the West Coast.
Yes.
For the rest of the weekend.
Yes.
So
they beat Oakland 1 out of 3?
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. Okay.
Both Oakland and Detroit scored 4 runs in 3 games.
And what's Kansas City doing?
Kansas City just lost 3 in a row to the Yankees.
Awesome. So we're right back up in there.
We're a game behind, but we're in 3rd place.
Yeah, Minnesota. How about them Them Twinkies.
And Michigan's softball team should have already wrapped up their first game in the College World Series. They played at 7 o'clock tonight.
Oh, wow. Who are they playing? You remember?
Who were they playing?
Yeah, I can't remember either. But it was the first game, so long way to go yet.
Yeah, there's 8 teams, and they do a double elimination.
Yep.
And then the last 2 teams play a best of 3.
Right.
And Michigan was ranked number 3 in the country behind Florida and Oregon.
Wow, that's pretty good, eh? Good team.
Yeah, they have a very good team.
Yeah, awesome.
Got a Garden City girl that plays for them, at least 1, maybe 2.
Sweet. Well, go blue.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that's it. And you know what? I think we're ready to call this a podcast. I want to thank our guest for tonight from the NABA, Miss Brittni Abiolu, for stopping by and visiting with us. Boy, she really brought some information, didn't she? She's
very
well
good.
read. Let me tell you, if you want to open a business and you're looking for a loan, contact her. That's for sure.
Anything up to $500 million, right?
Yeah, right. You had to listen to the interview, folks. Also, I want to thank my co-hosts, Richard, Mike, and Tom. Great job as always, gentlemen.
We know.
Yeah. And also thanks to Holly and Joey all the way from Wisconsin for your gardening tips. And thank you to everyone who hung out with us in the chat room. We really appreciate your support every week. Remember, the audio from tonight's show will be on our Facebook page at facebook.com/GCChat shortly after we sign off tonight. And don't forget to look for the video of tonight's show sometime tomorrow on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/communitychatshow. And let me just mention that if you would like to come on the show and be a guest, we would love to have you. We have plenty of dates available. Maybe you own a business or belong to an organization, would like to share your information with the community. Just send us an email at gccommunitychat@gmail.com, and we will shoot you some dates as soon as possible. Okay, remember, the success of a community depends on the community, so please support your local businesses. And if you see something, say something. Look out for one another out there. For all your weather information, head on over to DopplerTomsWeather.com. He's got a great little website over there. A lot of information you can get. So join us next week right here on TalkShoe.com, show ID 82757, when we have another live broadcast for you. So on behalf of Richard, Mike, Tom, Holly, and Joey, this is Kerry. Take care and see you next time.
Good night.